Welcome to video 5, the last video in this series of using UXPin and UXPin Merge to design a simple app using all MUI components. In the last video, we used real MUI React components to build out a design on the UXPin canvas. We even added some interactions so that our prototype really showcased how the elements and components work with each other. In the last video, we left off here in the prototype view on the Simulate panel. Now we'll explore this, the spec mode. When it comes to implementing designs, collaboration with developers is super important. Or if you're a designer and developer like myself, you'll want the transition to be as seamless as possible. Spec mode is where we'll find all the developer-related information about this design. Anything that we do or change in our design in UXPin will be reflected in spec mode. So if you are working with others, they'll always be able to see the latest design or update. So to the left up here, we have the layers panel and we can click on it to open it. And this is quite similar to what we had with the designer. We can see all the different components and how they nest inside of each other. Now, if this panel is missing for you, it is just up here next to actions. And speaking of actions, this drop down here gives you easy access back to the prototype or the project. The panel on the far right here gives us some general information about the canvas. There is the width, the height, and the canvas that we used, which was iPad. Now this is great, but as Merge users, the exciting thing about spec mode is when we select one of our component layers. So let's try it out by selecting our parent container, the container. Let's select that. And now we can see information specific to this layer. We have the general information such as the width, the height, and position. Now below that is a super familiar site. It's information about the container component from MUI and the link to the docs. But what's really exciting is what lives below that. These are the dependencies, the functions, and the entire JS code for this particular layer, which is the parent container. And right at the bottom, there are some additional export options such as copying everything to your clipboard, opening it up in StackBlitz, and downloading the entire project as a React project. Now, since we've got the parent container selected, these code blocks contain absolutely everything that you see in the prototype right now. We don't see the alert and we don't see the list because those were hidden. So if we scroll through the dependencies, we can see absolutely all the MUI components that we used, and right here they're being imported. And then further down, the functions code block relates to all the tab components, and we can see these visible. These ones here, they relate to each tab, and these checked states are actually for the task, the checkboxes that we added. And as you can see with these visible states, they can also find and translate any UXPin interactions that we've set, and we can definitely see that there. And finally, we have the JSX code. We can see the container, the stack, the typography, the icon. We can essentially grab this entire block of code, pop it right into a React project, and it would run and it would look just like this. But of course, let's not get ahead of ourselves. As React developers, we work with smaller components, right? So we wouldn't just grab this entire block of code. So if we come over here back to the layers panel and we select a different component, let's do the alert, which is the smallest one that we have. Over here in the properties panel, we can see that the dependencies is just for the alert component, and the function, again, the set visible and invisible is just for the alert component. And here in the JSX code, we have the props that we were selecting as well. So severity equals warning was something that we selected. And then the title and the typography, it is all here ready for copying. So I don't know about you, but this has been pretty magical for me so far. I'm super ready to spin up my own React project and make sure that MUI is installed and then grab this code and then it will just magically appear in my React project. But there's more. So I'm going to select this container, the parent container, and I'm going to hide these and come down to export. Now, as we saw earlier, all the way down here, there are 3 types of export options. The first is to copy all to my clipboard, which will be great if I'm just gonna open up a React project and then grab all this code and pop it over there. Now, this second one here will actually open this UXPin project as a React project in StackBlitz. So we don't even need to spin up our own React development environment. To use this, you'll need to be working in UXPin directly in your browser. So to showcase this awesome feature, I'll open up this project in a new browser tab. I'll head to app.uxpin.com/dashboard and click into my employee portal project. And then I'll go straight to the prototype view by clicking preview. We'll head on over to spec view and we'll select the entire container. And now if we scroll all the way to the bottom and we click on Open in StackBlitz, you'll see the magic happen. As you can see, the entire project is right here, ready to go, and we didn't even need to spin up our own React development environment. But since I don't use StackBlitz myself, this third one right here, download, is my personal favorite. We can actually download this entire project as a React project with a package.json ready to npm install. Now, before we do that though, let's make sure that our default list is showing instead of that table. And we'll make sure that this is in fact working as we want. Yes. Okay, we'll come back to spec and we will select the container and we'll come all the way down and download this as a React project. So I will be downloading this as app.zip to the desktop, and I'll open that up in Finder and I will unzip app. Now, I'll be using WebStorm as my IDE of choice, but please feel free to use whatever you're most comfortable with. So I'll drag app into the welcome window and then it will open up like so. Now, as you can see, the package.json is right there. So let's run npm install and we'll let it do its thing. Okay, once that is done, we can run npm start to have a look at our project. Oh, we will do the default. Okay, great. Everything's a little big though because we did design it for iPad. So I will be using Chrome DevTools device toolbar. So I'll right click inspect and then over here we'll select that and I've got it at iPad mini and I will set it to 100%. Okay, it's looking pretty good, except there is this little bit of padding around all of our content, and that is actually because of Chrome's browser styles. So we can overwrite that by creating a style sheet. So here in public, we will create a new file called styles.css. We will target the body and then we'll remove all margins. And then over here in index.html, we will link that up, link rel style sheet, href styles, and then we'll close that tag. Now, when we head back, we can see that the padding is all gone, and we can actually click on these tabs and the correct view will be rendered just like we designed, except this is in real React. Now, how incredibly fast was that? We went from the prototype to a working React app in literally minutes. Now, from here, you may have a look at our JSX here, and if you are a React developer, you're probably itching to try and separate these into components. So you might want to split the code into a header, maybe user section, tabs, and then content container like we did in UXPin. But whatever you want to do, all the code is already here for your happy refactoring. And just like that, we have ourselves a simple React app that uses all MUI components. We were able to first visually design the whole thing using UXPin, and thanks to Merge, we were able to use the actual React components from the MUI library down to the specific props and visual behaviors. We then created an interactive prototypes with interactions, which is great for your reference if you're working solo, or a great asset for larger design to development teams. And then we were able to grab not just the dependencies and functions and JS code for each component, but we were able to download the whole project as a React project ready to install and run. Remember though, MUI is just one React component library out there that you can use. Like I said in the first video, Merge is a technology that syncs React code components from a repository to UXPin's design editor. So if MUI isn't your cup of tea, you can use literally any other component library out there, like Ant Design, Bootstrap, etc. In fact, if you or your team have your own design system set up, you can even add that into UXPin thanks to UXPin Merge. Now imagine everything that we just did with MUI, but your own design system. That's super exciting to me, and I bet it's exciting to you too. So I hope this video series gave you a little insight into UXPin and UXPin Merge. Be sure to check out their website over at uxpin.com/merge and dive into their extensive documentation. You're sure to find your answers. So I hope you enjoyed joining me on this journey to discover UXPin Merge using MUI. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.